August in Breathitt County, Kentucky. The land here is unforgiving. Steep hollers, narrow ridges, forests that swallow up sound. When a child disappears, it's not just a search. It's a race against the land itself. On August 6, 10-year-old Jayden Spicer was reported missing. The last time anyone saw him was the night before, inside his home on Pamble Branch Road. Kentucky State Police Post 13 in Hazard issued an alert, mobilizing troopers, dogs, and volunteers. A press release echoed through local stations. Organized search efforts have thoroughly searched all areas of priority. The images that followed are haunting. Jayden's mother, Felicia Gross, stood before cameras, holding back tears, reading from a handwritten note begging for her boy's safe return. At that moment, it felt like the whole county was holding its breath. Neighbors joined in, strangers arrived, and the town of Jackson became a search party. Why? Because when a child vanishes in a place like this, it's not a headline, it's family. And here's where I need you to stop for a second. Think about Jayden. Think about how easily this could have been your street, your nephew, your child. If you believe his story deserves to be told, don't just watch, subscribe now. Because every time you scroll past, another child's story fades into silence. But not everyone will. Some will listen, some will shake their heads, and still refuse to subscribe. If that's you, I want you to write in the comments why. Why silence? Why turn away when a child's voice is already gone? For those who stay, remember, subscribing isn't for me, it's for Jayden. It's so stories like his aren't buried, forgotten, erased. The search stretched on, exhausting every resource, every hillside. Hope was fragile, but still alive. And then, investigators received a lead. A whisper that carried them away from Pamble Branch Road, toward Canoe Road. That's where the story begins to unravel. Asterisk. Think about how easily this could have been your street, your nephew, your child. Don't just watch, subscribe now. Because every time you scroll past, another child's story fades into silence. Some will listen, some will shake their heads, and still refuse to subscribe. If that's you, I want you to write in the comments why. Subscribing isn't for me, it's for Jayden. So stories like his aren't buried, forgotten, erased. On August 12th, just 1 week after Jayden was reported missing, hope was extinguished. At around 3 p.m., searchers followed a lead down a lonely stretch of Canoe Road. In the woods, they uncovered a shallow grave. Inside, a plastic tote. Inside that tote, Jayden Spicer, 10 years old. That evening, Kentucky State Police confirmed what the community had prayed they would never hear. Found in a wooded area off Canoe Road. Within hours, the boy's mother, Felicia Gross, was in handcuffs. The charges: manslaughter, evidence tampering, abuse of a corpse, and false reporting. According to the arrest citation, Felicia admitted she gave her son a type of sleeping medication and believed it caused a fatal medical emergency. Instead of calling for help, she placed his body in that tote and buried him. The citation goes further, alleging she coached siblings on what to say to investigators. Police also seized digital devices, raising disturbing questions. Were messages deleted? Was this a cover-up, not a tragedy? Court documents suggest there may have been more to conceal than anyone first realized. But let me ask you something. When a mother buries her child in secret, what does that say about us? When we don't speak his name, too many will listen to this story and then click away. If you're one of them, if you won't subscribe, then explain it in the comments. Tell us why Jayden's story isn't worth keeping alive. For the rest of you, subscribe now. Because if the people who cared most about Jayden failed him, then it falls to us to carry his memory forward. If you don't, silence wins. And yet, the mother's version was just the beginning. Because investigators weren't convinced. If the initial account was false, what truly happened inside that home? And when? Asterisk. The story did not end with manslaughter. On August 18th, the case against Felicia Gross changed forever. A Breathitt County grand jury returned a new indictment, this time for murder. Her husband, Jayden's stepfather, Joshua Gross, was indicted alongside her. His charges: complicity to murder, false reporting, evidence tampering, abuse of a corpse, even witness tampering. Suddenly, what had been painted as a mother's reckless mistake was recast as something darker, something deliberate. Both Felicia and Joshua were ordered to appear in Breathitt Circuit Court, arraignment scheduled for September 5th. The courtroom would be small, but the stakes enormous. Why did the charges escalate? Prosecutors now had to prove more than recklessness. They had to prove intent. Did Felicia knowingly cause her son's death? Did Joshua play an active role in covering it up? And if intent could be established, aggravating factors might push the case into harsher sentencing territory. Meanwhile, the medical examiner's autopsy loomed large. Toxicology screens, time of death estimates, the condition of Jayden's body. All pieces of a forensic puzzle that could either support or shatter the prosecution's case. One headline put it bluntly: Mother indicted for murder and death of missing 10-year-old boy. But until that report was in hand, one chilling question remained. What story would the forensics tell about Jayden's final hours? His last breath? His mother's choices? And perhaps most disturbingly, what happened to him after the moment of death? Asterisk. The town of Jackson gathered on August 21st. Red and blue flowers lined the streets. A Spider-Man casket, small, bright, heartbreakingly final, was carried with a first responder escort. This was Jayden's day. A farewell painted in the colors of his favorite hero. Schools closed. Vigils lit the night. Classmates, neighbors, strangers, all stood shoulder to shoulder in grief. In the language of superheroes, the community tried to give Jayden the send-off he deserved. But grief does not pause the calendar. Ahead lies September 5th. When Felicia and Joshua Gross stand before a Breathitt County judge, arraignment discovery motions, the wheels of justice turn, and yet the law insists they remain presumed innocent until proven guilty. For those left behind, the question becomes, how do we honor a child whose story ended too soon? The answer is not spectacle, but vigilance. Every viewer should know. If you suspect abuse, if you see something wrong, there are numbers you can call. The Child Abuse Hotline is not just a resource, it is a lifeline. And as the headlines fade, what remains is the vigil. The Christmas ghost night. The memory of a boy who loved superheroes, kept alive not by fear or rumor, but by compassion, by remembrance, and by the promise that his story will not be forgotten.